Part two, we're going to basically look to build the scrum from front to back. So look at how we set up as a front row, how the props bind with the hookers, moving into the second row, how the second rows come through, how we make sure all those connections are strong, shoulders on, making sure they were not tucked in, get any poor angles. We want everybody nice and square, giving them a good platform to work through from behind. And then lastly, looking at our back row, making sure that our back row bolt on properly, so everybody's in a good, strong position to work. That's massively important. I think if you start to create poor angles, players get stuck driving in and across. What we're looking for is, like I said earlier, everyone to stay square so we can create as much pressure moving forward and making sure that we're square as possible. When you're binding out, you're pulling out, you're doing that, what happened to you in the middle? Drag you right out, okay? So you're the tight head, we build everything around on our ball around you two. So what I want now is, what's your name, sorry? Sid, okay, Sid. What I want is you to get into your position. So just by yourself, get into your position. Right, now these boys will build around you. So in you guys go. Get the shoulders up, but try not to move him. How's that, Sid? Better?
Yeah.
More controlled? Okay, right, up you come. Right, so the next bit now, what I want you to think about. Scrummaging is massively about being tight, so lots of cohesion. So it's like a fist, you know, if I do that, there's not a lot of power. If I curl it up, now I can put a lot of power through that. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about with our back five now, is making sure everything comes through nice and tight with the way we set up. So talking about our front row, making sure we get those shoulders out so we're nice and square. What I want now is, when you get your shoulders out, for you, the two props, just to move your hips open a little bit. Okay, because like you said on the first one, Sid, when they came through, they're fighting so hard to get through, you're there, you've bumped, you've moved forward. Okay, so I want you to hold your ground down move. You guys just do that with you, so you don't have to move your feet. All you do is just open your hips, and then you can put them back together. Make sense? Okay. Right, second row's in. Now you can tighten it up. Up you come. Right, up you come. What's it like for you boys? Okay, so it's brilliant feedback. Right, so Sid, what I want from you now is, you're going to now start to take control. It seems very quiet, so I want you to just keep your hips in a little bit more, so stay square. Remember what we talked about? So when you feel those second rows come through, and there you can feel that the heads are through, all I want you to do is call grips. So you call grips, and on grips, what do you think we do? Everything just comes together, all right? Just where the second rows are going, where do you think, obviously, in order to be as tight as possible, where do you think you guys need to be binding? Yeah, so almost getting through onto the shorts. Okay, so one of you had the top, one of you's got your arm facing out. For me personally, I think as that second row, I need to come through and bind as close to my ear as possible. So again, everything's nice. If we talked about everything being nice and tight, everything's really compact. So remember, let's set where our feet are. The feet don't move, okay? Those are our anchors. So feet in there, move, grips, bang, everything comes together. We'll just try once more, and then we'll start to change blokes in and out, okay? Better. Wait for them.
Grip.
Up you come. What's it like for you boys, second rows? So much tighter, okay? All right, if you get the 2 second rows out, just facing that way there, if you can show me how you're setting up, so just your binds. Okay, can you try it again? Just swap, you come over, you come under. Easier? Why do you think? Yeah, so you're taller, okay? So just little things that we can start to think about. So if you're taller, if you bind underneath, you start to stand him up, so his bind, now he starts to creep up like that. So if you're a fraction taller, we can start to think about you binding over the top as opposed to under. Okay, so what we talked about, the taller one at this point in time just binding over, the shorter one just binding under, all right? Again, inside legs, so you want your inside legs down. Yep. Up you come. Okay, so what's your most powerful leg? Okay, so because we've got normally you'll go inside leg, inside leg. For me, it's a preference thing. I'm not going to say you have to have your inside leg. If you're feeling that you can get into a strong position with the other leg, ideally we'd like both inside legs down. So can you try it for me once with both inside legs down, just see what that's like? So you right leg on your knee, you left leg on your knee. Crouch! Up we come. What's that like? Is it? Okay. Right, let's get the back row on. If you can just maybe, just a smaller split, so that right leg now is right underneath him. So if you can just start to pull that back a fraction. What's your name, sorry? Alex. Alex. So Alex, if you just, because at the moment, it's like, so you are left leg. So at the moment it's like that. So it's a really big split. So when you come up, this leg's got to go a long way to come back. So if we can just narrow that stance up a little bit, all right? Nice and square, make sure we're square. Get a grip, yeah, make sure we get a good grip on. Good grips, brilliant. Crouch. So much better. Sid, Alex, what I'm really liking there is there's no movement. From the time you've set, like literally we haven't moved. So we'll talk about leakage. So every time you move, you loosen a bind, your foot drops out a little bit wider there. So what I'm looking at there, so the first one you talked about, we're moving all over the place. That last one there now, we've got no movement, which is brilliant. So our feet are always in the ground, which means we can attack on the scrum, we can be nice and stable. All right, so that last one is quality. Well done.